Hello students, today we'll be looking at transport system in animals, circulatory systems. All living cells in the body need energy. This is got from food in the form of glucose and oxygen. It must be transported throughout the body. Large organisms have a specialized transport system. The transport system in all vertebrate animals is an example of a mass flow system. And the mass flow system is comprised of four parts. We have the pump, the medium, system of tubes, and sites of exchange. The blood is the medium that carries materials around the body. The system of tubes, these are the arteries and veins that carry fluid from place to place. And then we have the pump, which is the heart. It supplies pressure to keep the fluid moving through the tubes. And we also have the capillaries. This is the site of exchange of materials. Moving forward, we have two types of circulatory systems. We have the single circulatory system and the double circulatory system. In a situation whereby blood travels from the heart to the gills, and then oxygen is absorbed and carbon dioxide is absorbed at the gills, and carbon dioxide is released. It then flows from the gills to the organs and tissues. Oxygen is now flows from the gills to organs and tissues in the rest of the body and back to the heart under low pressure. This is describing single circulation in fishes. Where you have blood passing through the heart twice for each complete circuit of the body, and then blood flows to the lungs under high pressure where it picks up oxygen before it is pushed from the heart into tissues where the oxygen is needed. This is describing double circulation in humans. Now, there's a question. It says one advantage of double circulation is is that pressure is adequate for efficient kidney function. Is this true or false? True. The anatomy of the heart. We have this image showing us different parts of the heart: the aorta, pulmonary artery, pulmonary vein, left atrium, mitral valve, aortic valve, pulmonary valve, right atrium, right ventricle, and the left ventricle. And then we have the septum. And then we have the vena cava, the superior and inferior vena cava. Blood flows from the heart in vessels called arteries, and it flows back in vessels called veins. Capillaries are the vessels joining the arteries and the veins. Dissolved materials or substances move between blood and tissues by diffusion across walls of very fine blood vessels called capillaries. In humans, the main artery is called the aorta and the main vein is called the vena cava. To test our knowledge of what we learned in the previous slide, we have a question. It says, the blood flows away from the heart in vessels called what? Vessels called arteries. And it flows back in vessels called veins. The vessels joining the arteries and the capillaries, and the veins are the capillaries. I choose the one with capital because it starts in the sentence. Dissolved substances move between blood and tissues by diffusion across walls of very fine blood vessels called capillaries. You're still referring to the capillaries here. In humans, the main artery is the aorta, and the main vein is the vena cava. Septum is the wall between the left and the right sides of the heart. It separates oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. We have an image here showing us the septum. So it's this is the septum of a normal heart, and this is septum that is defective. So the question says mixing of oxygenated blood, mixing of oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood in the heart indicates a hole in the septum. True or false? True. The heart of a mammal pumps blood through the circulatory system. The heart, the heart walls can squeeze blood to generate pressure because they are made of muscles. The muscle contracts rhythmically. The heart is divided into two sides, each of which has a pump. The right side of the heart pumps the oxygenated blood from the tissues out to the lungs, and the left side pumps oxygenated blood coming from the lungs out to tissues. A much greater pressure is needed to force blood out to the extremities of the body than is needed to drive blood into the lungs. This makes the left side of the heart more muscular than the right side. We have an image showing us the capillaries that's connecting the arteries and the veins, and then we have the veins, the red, the blood, the oxygenated blood, indicated with red, flowing from out from the arteries, and then the blue deoxygenated blood flowing back to the heart through the veins. Atrium or atria for plural have thin walls than ventricles, while the left ventricle has thick and muscular walls than the right ventricle. True or false? True. Drag the words into the correct boxes. Okay. Here we're trying to explain that the right side of the heart pumps what type of blood? Oxygenated or deoxygenated blood? Coming from the tissues out to the lungs, that'll be deoxygenated blood. The left side pumps oxygenated blood coming from the lungs out to the tissues. The two sides of the heart generate different pressure but work the same way. Atrium receives blood at low pressure from the veins coming from the lungs, while ventricle pumps blood at high pressure out to the arteries, to lungs or tissues. Valves ensure that blood flows in the right direction. Then we have two valves. We have the atrioventricular valve and the semilunar valve. What pumps blood at high pressure from the heart to the arteries? That's ventricles. The activity of the heart can be monitored by three things: by pulse rate, by an electrocardiogram, ECG, a machine, and by listening to sounds of the valves closing. Drag the words into the correct boxes. In a healthy person, the heart beats about 70 times a minute during normal levels of activity. And then physical exercise brings out deeper, more rapid breathing and more rapid heartbeats. And more blood is pumped to tissues to carry the oxygenated blood away. Coronary heart diseases. The coronary heart disease is caused when coronary arteries become blocked. The coronary arteries are part of the heart, and part of the heart muscle stop contracting, causing a heart attack. The risk of developing coronary heart disease is increased by high levels of cholesterol, and that is caused by poor diet. By it's also increased by smoking, lack of exercise, stress, and that is caused by poor lifestyle. Having a family history of heart disease, and that is caused by genetic factors. Other factors are sex and age of an individual. The correct pathway taken by blood flowing through the human circulatory system is from the left ventricle. Blood flows to the main artery, which is the aorta, out to the body tissues, and then back to the main vein. The oxygenated blood flows back to the lungs via the main vein and through the right atrium. In single circulation of fish, the blood flows through the heart. What type of blood leaves the heart? Oxygenated blood at low pressure, oxygenated blood at high pressure, deoxygenated blood at high pressure. We have oxygenated blood at low pressure. So we have another question. It says diagram shows the cross section through the heart of a mammal, and then we have to label PQR correctly. P will be the left atrium, the Q is valve, and then the left ventricle is R. The student runs for 400 meters. Which effects would this have on depth of breathing rate? Depth of breathing, rate of breathing, and pulse rate, respectively. They are all going to increase the depth of breathing will increase, the rate of breathing will increase, the pulse rate will equally increase. People are sometimes born with a hole in the heart. This is caused by a gap in the septum. If the gap is not repaired, it causes the person to become breathless more quickly. What is responsible for this? And that will be the from the oxygenated blood from the left ventricle mixing with deoxygenated blood in the right ventricle. Yeah. That will be the cause of short breath. Remember that we always take our time to practice past questions from Cambridge examinations with you, and you can check our website on www.edubbey.com for more information and resources. Thank you for your time.